Let's talk a bit about boards. What do you think makes a great board, and what do you look for in a board?
Well, first of all, the board that I had in the beginning were people that were Arts Club members, and so they didn't know much about theater. So I could really make it very clear what I wanted to do, and they just followed me. As long as you don't, fall off the cliff, and as long as you don't run us into heavy debt, you can do what you want to do. I think when you look at boards, you want to first of all make sure that they are aware of what it is that you're doing. What is your, I don't mean to say vision necessarily or even mission statement, but what is it you want to do as an artistic director with the company? And that combination of artistic director, general manager, or / executive director, and the board, particularly the board chair, is very important. Those three people, along with obviously top individuals, if you're talking about larger organization in various areas, it is really responsible for how the company is going to operate. So first of all, the board has to believe in whatever the artistic director's vision, if you will, what that is. And then hold that person accountable from a point of view of the bottom line. But that really falls on the executive director / general manager to make sure that the artistic director's vision, if I want to do nothing but new work, then I know that's going to need a lot of funding, because not every new play is going to be successful. Some new plays may be large casts and have an incredible investment. So a general manager has to go out and raise that money. If you're not getting it in public funds or whatever, have to, and the board has to support that. The board doesn't necessarily have to raise that money, because often they're not skilled, but they may know people that can help contribute. So it's a mix that becomes very important in the way these people interact. Where it falls apart, and I experienced this when I worked at the Playhouse as a stage manager, when the general manager or executive director, whatever you have, and the artistic director don't get along. If they are not connected, then one of them has to go, because there's no reason, you're not going to go forward if that dynamic is not connected. And then the third part of that group is, of course, the board. So you don't want the board, usually the board will be more supportive of the financial side, because most boards understand finances more than they understand the art. Unfortunately, that's, in whatever arts organization you look at, most boards are consisting of people that are more comfortable either in business or lawyers or what have you. They're not, and really I think the history of boards that consist of artists are not necessarily advantageous to the art, because they may be wanting to second guess the artistic director. So I made clear when our board was being formed that we could not have on the board a working theater person. In other words, I did not want someone on the board who would second guess me. Now, it could be my own insecurity, of course.
Because we have to point out that there was a time in Canadian theatre when there was a big push from artists saying, look, these theatres are about the artists, they're about the art, and there's no artists on the board, and the board are the kind of the GPS of the theatre. You have to have an artist on that board, or it would be the same for union members as well. On the board of a corporation, you have to have that voice. And here you are saying the opposite. If they're there, it's a problem.
Yeah, and the reason I arrived at that is the board that the original board that was formed when I first started at the Arts Club. It was not the theater was part of the Arts Club, and to get a Canada Council grant, the theater had to become a non-profit society on its own, separate from the club. So we formed the Theatre Society, and the board of the Arts Club became the board of the Arts Club Theatre Society, and some of the members of that board were actors, and well, actors mainly. I don't think there were any others, and they had their the things that they wanted me to do, as plays that they thought I should be producing, and they weren't plays that I was particularly interested in. So
Give me an example.
Well, there was an actress on the original Arts Club board, and she wanted to do a certain play. I can't remember the particular play, but because it had a role for her, and this is why she felt I should schedule it. Right. And I said, no, I'll find a play that I think suits your talents, but it isn't that particular play. And so then I decided that in future the board should not be looking at theater artists. There could be artists on the board, and we've had visual artists and other musicians and whatever, but we've not had working theater artists on the board specifically. Like, we have not had actors on the board, unless they were retired or they were no longer, performing, no longer in the business.